Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching another Mortgage Leadership Outlook. So glad you joined us today. We do this every day at 4 o'clock East Coast time, Pacific time, 1 o'clock. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Patty Arvielo. Patty, are you with us here?
I'm here. I'm here virtually.
Fantastic. Great to have you. So listen, I mean, I'm going to assume that 99% of the people out there watching this know who Patty is, know actually, and maybe actually they even have seen your interviews that you've done many places, including on the Mortgage News Network and the Power Women series, where we got to get deep and personal and understanding your background. But for those actually that have had the privilege of meeting you and understanding your history and your past, can you please tell us a little bit about Patty and a little bit about your career?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on today, Andrew. I look so forward to connecting with everybody because I think it's critical in today's work environment. So let me give you a very short story. I will be celebrating my 39th year in the mortgage industry next month. So I am a quote unquote dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur who's never thought about doing it the same way and thinking that works. So I am the founder and co-founder and president of New American Funding. And I also, my passion is to empower more women to rise within this wonderful industry. So that's what I do for fun and for my passion. Right now, I am just working alongside trying to figure out this roller coaster that we're all on and trying to advocate with my peers to create some guardrails around, some things that are going on in DC. So that's kind of a short story of what I do.
So listen. You went there, so I'm going to follow up that. So as far as DC, so let's say, Mark Calabria, he's made some very big decisions for our industry, and some have been very negatively impacted by those decisions. There's a lot of servicers that are just scared based on the decisions that Mr. Calabria has made. So tell me, if you were actually, if this wasn't me and I was Mark Calabria, what would the conversation that you would have with Mark Calabria right now be?
Oh gosh, you're fired.
There's no filter on it.
There's no filter. There's no filter with me.
I'm pretty sure that you are actually in the majority.
I'm just going to say it like it is. I mean, give me a break. I don't know who's in his ear. It's certainly not the IMB model or the brokers, right? Yeah. He can't tell us what to do from a servicing perspective, which was right in every way. There isn't a servicer in this country that wasn't 100% with them on doing what we needed to do to keep homeowners in their homes. But you can't create change and then not give us a facility, should it impact us. I mean, he took away late fees. Well, that's a lot of servicers' income there. How are we supposed to pay the employees that we now need to hire to handle the demand? It's ridiculous. There's got to be an agenda there that we don't know about, but I'll tell you what, we are going to come together as an industry, and I don't care. There's zero competitors right now, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how big I am. I don't care how much volume I do. We need to come together as an industry. I need everyone to get to Calabria so he can listen to how important this model, the IMB model, the broker model, they need us. We're the ones at the street level, hand-holding first-time home buyers, minority home buyers. The big banks are all great, right? They do what they do, but they're not hand-holding. They're not hand-holding the critical market that we hand-hold through the home ownership process. So can you tell I'm a little fired up?
Yeah.
I'm a little fired up.
Just
Don't tell me what to do, and then I'm all for the win-win. His was a win, let us suffer. And listen, I've said this 100 times. Rick and I are fine. Our servicing portfolio, we are fine. I'm fighting for my peers. I don't want to see anybody in this model, a servicer, an IMB, a broker, nobody go out of business.
Yeah.
You got to wish good. This is a great industry for all of us, and we do a lot of great work together. So that's my mission. We gotta work together this time. Not like the meltdown, disenfranchised, not using our voices. We have to speak up as a united front for the independent mortgage banker and the independent mortgage broker.
And listen, I mean, you said something about there as the independent mortgage companies. I personally feel the independent mortgage companies are better for our communities. The independent mortgage companies, they keep the money in our communities. Generally speaking, I feel like, you know, independent mortgage companies are compensating originators better. There's a lot more flexibility and freedom with the independent mortgage companies than it is going to be working at the banks. And listen, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. The last financial crisis, the independent originators were the ones actually who made the scapegoats. You know,
right.
if you look actually at some of the things that were said by the banks, they did everything they could to kick us, to throw us under the bus. So do you think actually there may be some kind of hidden agenda here that could be working against us, and that's why we need to band together?
Well, 39 years, I think it's the same bully effect that goes on. Listen, the big banks provide warehouse capacity. They are a much needed, you know, entity for all of us as well, but we need to work together. You know, the thing with independent mortgage bankers and independent mortgage brokers, we're much more nimble. Yeah. That's why we can serve the street. I ask, you know, any bank mortgage loan originator the last time they were able to speak to the president of the bank. When was the last time you had a conversation with Jamie Dimon? Really? Give me a break. We're just a much more nimble platform. We move quicker, we react quicker, we speak many languages. You know, my loan originators can get to me at any given time, and I know that from my peers. I know that Casey Crawford makes himself available for his LOs. You know, I know the critical need for leadership to be able to be nimble enough so the originators can touch the very high touch clients that we serve. So we have to come together. You know, if you think about it, a lot of us get our business from Realtors, right? Yeah. They have NAR. NAR has a huge PAC in DC. They're united in their messaging. Every realtor contributes to NAR.
Well,
right?
But they have to. So like it's
so powerful.
In most and in most markets, it's the cost of doing business. Like you can't actually, if your fiduciary is to the seller to make sure actually that they're going to get the most offers in, you need to actually get on MLS. But as an industry, our participation in our associations, whether it's the MBA, whether it's NEMB, whether it's AIM, is just maybe I think it's a good idea. And that's the problem. That's the problem actually, where NAR is collecting so much money, because if you just want to be able to list a property, you have to be able to be a member. So how do we change that mindset for make it actually so it's a requirement of doing business?
Well, we would have to come together as an industry, which, listen, if there is a time where we can all come together, it's this time. Humanity is at the forefront of everything we do. Yeah. You know, I am a woman IMB, right? One of the very few in this space. I'm already alone. I don't have a network of other women that are going through the same thing as me for the most part. So I'm already lacking on top of this. I'm just trying to use my voice because I'm very outspoken. I'm very passionate. I believe in this model. I believed in it my entire life. Since I was 16 years old, I've never done anything else. I'm as competitive as any of my peers. For me, at this point, there is enough to go around. And I think that if we came together as an industry, we would stop this curve of whoever it is making and trying to push us out and creating change. You know, we're a viable industry. Yeah. And we're very needed down to the very first person that wakes up, gets their coffee and says, I want to buy a home. We're really the ones in the street. They're next door neighbors. We belong on the soccer teams with them. We're that type of originator that creates relationships.
So, but when did you get this call? Listen, I know from what I remember, you actually, you were involved in credit reports, right? Is that so you like, you know, it's not like you grew up in the mortgage business, which no one grows up in the mortgage business.
No one does.
So you came into this. You were working actually working selling credit reports, or working for a company that sold credit reports. and then you, if I remember correctly, and I just watched the video a little earlier today, your interview with Christine, and actually I'm going to put this up actually. But by the way, watch this. Go check this out. Great video, great interview with Christine Beckwith. You can watch Patty actually on the Power Women on NMP or MNN, but just go check out that link. So in that, you told about how you said, hey, what are we doing these credit reports? Where are they going? And you saw, hey, there's a big opportunity here to make money. And you just went to the newspaper and you found actually a mortgage company that was hiring. But tell me actually where was the point where all of a sudden the mortgage business became not just something you can make a couple of bucks in, because the people that are most successful in this business aren't focused on the money just comes, but right. There's that connection. So where did that connection happen for you, Patty?
It was after when I first was 16, I was doing inputting the delinquent mortgage trade lines on the mortgage credit report. Then I found 16. Out that the loan, I was 16, but I paid good money. I didn't even know what it was, but it was like the highest hourly wage I could get at 16. And then it was, who's ordering these? And it was, a receptionist at a mortgage brokerage shop, actually. Oh, wow. And the minute I became passionate was around 19, when a gentleman that's been in this business forever owned a broker shop. He came to me with a box of cards and says, hey, you need to go ask realtors for loans. And I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was the minute I started to have that personal connection with home buyers, and I was their champion because I was able to deliver the keys. Then it was all done. Like, this is my mission, to help people get into homes. So roughly around 19.
Okay, so you're no business doing it at that point. You were just handed a box of cards. So what's interesting about it is, I guess that people, and we talked about this on yesterday's episode about how people actually recognize you and your caring about them, and that was more important than your knowledge. Yes. So what was your first conversation? So you're handed those box of cards and said, Patty, go find out some loans. What did you do actually? How did you get your first loan? Like what was the pitch?
Shoot, I was 19. I was really cute back then, so I'd get a lot more lunch dates than loans. So but somebody finally gave me a loan, and I remember that's paper, right? And I remember it was a big fat file, and I got in my car and drove it to Santa Ana, which was on 4th Avenue. It was called Mortgage Row here in Orange County. Every major mortgage broker was on 4th Street. So I went back and I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Like, I didn't really know how to do a loan. I could, type out a 1003, but I didn't really know what it meant. So I teach. It's not really any different today, right? I have new originators starting here every month. They don't really know what to do. So it's still an industry where you learn through your mistakes. So I probably made every mistake there's ever possible, right? Quoted them a great rate because they had no mortgage lates, turned to the 4th page of the mortgage report, saw mortgage lates. I made every mistake. I still make them twice.
That's good. So you learn from your mistakes. Now, so listen, what have you taken from those early days where you were just handed the box of cards, and what have you taken from those lessons and have brought over to New American? Well,
I think that as a leader, I'm very involved. So, I want to be involved in all aspects of the business. So I don't know if a lot of people still know, I still originate my own loans. I have my own team, my own processor. It could be that whole money thing. I'm always scared something's going to go away. But I don't.
Patty, hold on for a second. But before we go, you can't just gloss over that and not let me dig into that. So you're still originating loans. Actually, you're a partner at one of the largest mortgage banks, and you're still originating loans. Like, give me are you doing
let me give you an example.
3 a year?
It's so funny. I'm doing a loan right now. It's a jumbo loan, like $3.8 million, where they're buying out the 30-year leased land. Now, I've done many loans where the property's been on leased land, but I'm 39 years in the business. My first loan that I'm doing for somebody who's actually buying out the lease while they own the home for the last 10 years.
Wow.
I know. So that's what's so fun about this business. 39 years, and I've never originated a loan with that issue. I had to go to my underwriter and ask her what to do. And I just think that it keeps me relevant. I can't lead, right? I can't lead some of the top loan originators in the country if I don't know how they feel. And I do know how they feel. At every given aspect of either winning or losing them one day, I've felt the exact same feelings as every originator that works at this company. I've struggled and I've killed it.
Yeah, well, so Starla just read your mind. Starla just said, staying in the trenches so you can relate to LOs are what dealing with is great, and that's it. I mean, you know actually what it's like. You know it's like to have to be creative actually with deals, to know actually what it's like, especially now. But give us an idea, like how many deals are you doing a year? Like, you know,
gosh. Well, right now it's been crazy. It's been crazy because, you know, everybody thinks they're going to get the best deal in the world because their friend owns New American Funding, right? So it's not even like I can make a decent comp because I got to give them the best rate. So I know what it's like this is what I know. For sure. I can compete. I've got to be able to compete in price with brokers. I can do that all day long. So most of the industry can. I got to be able to compete with Quicken, you know, and I know my market. I know I can speak intelligently about our buyers that are shopping and doing all the homework online, what that means to an originator. I know how to hold margin, you know, so I can teach it. And I'm telling you, you don't use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of people that said, oh, you know, a lot of owners of companies and whatever, and they're great. We're all great leaders there's a lid for every pot, right? We're all different. But my niche is the fact that I lead by example, meaning I don't know, I just can't let it go. I'm a people person, so I want to be able to help them. So if somebody calls me about a tricky purchase or a refi, I'm like, sure, I can get you a great deal. Of course I can.
That's awesome. That's great. I love it. Love your energy. Love your excitement. Love your passion for this business. All right. So let's talk about actually, you know, the timeline of the situation that we're dealing with. So obviously, you've always been actually an office that people show up. It's not a work from home kind of environment. So when did actually, you know, you guys make the decision to say, all right, everyone, we're going to switch gears. Everyone's going to work from home. You remember about the time that was?
I do. I remember exactly, and I have to actually shout out to my husband, who's much more brilliant than I am in many ways. And the minute he started to hear the news in early January, about what was going on in Wuhan, you know, the minute he heard the word pandemic, which I thought was just like a movie, you know, I'm like, what? This isn't really happening. You know, like, yeah, that was that Outbreak movie we watched. You know, that's made up. He's like, no, Patty, it's the real thing. So he went and bought every laptop he could before. This was in January. So we loaded up on all this equipment. And so within a minute, we got it started to come down. I remember when it was. It was March 13th, because I was actually supposed to meet face-to-face with Trump on the 13th in Denver, because I sit on the National Park Foundation, and we were meeting with him face-to-face. It was going to be my first time. About park preservation. So I remember specifically, because I was supposed to meet the president, right? What Latina was supposed to be face-to-face with the president of the United States. So the 12th is when I got the call that we weren't going to meet up. The 13th is when we sent everybody home. By that Tuesday, we're completely remote. We're killing it remote. We're killing it.
So productivity is through the roof?
Through the roof. I mean, I think we closed 4,000 units in February. We'll close 9,000 units this month. I mean, to turn that quickly, everybody is operating like tip top. Like, I'm so proud of our team, but we are very highly connected. And I think and I'll speak about I do talk about the women aspect of being a woman in the mortgage industry. I think it's really helped a lot of us, because most of the time we just get up, roll over to our laptop, right? We're not having to do our hair, put on makeup, get in the car, go to work, drop off the kids. So we'll see what productivity looks like once we, kids are back in school. We got to go to soccer games and, things like that. But yeah, it's all Rick. Rick had this. He could see the writing on the wall well before I think everybody else. I remember mid-March, we needed a few more laptops and they were sold out. Wow. So that's visionary.
Yeah. There we go. Here he is, the man himself. Thanks for the shout out, honey. We make a great team. You guys do. There's no question about it. Yeah. By the way, my wife too, in January, I thought she was crazy. I thought she was bad poop crazy. Like
I thought it was made up.
Yeah, I was like, hon, but I've also learned actually, Deb, my wife tends to see things actually sometimes that I don't see. And I said, all right, if you say so, and she started preparing like the way Rick and your organization did. So let's say, all right, let's say a vaccine comes into the market. It's working great. All the things that we're doing actually is working great. Are you going back actually though to the traditional way of doing business? Are you keeping actually everyone? No. So everyone's comfortable working from home. Do you think 25% of your staff will never go back into an office? Like, what do you think the number is?
I can give you accurate numbers. We did a survey, and 67% of the people want to stay home.
Wow.
So, and again, I have to give shout out to my husband. That's why we make a good team. He's very much a visionary, and he very much got into this business because we were dating, and it was 20 years ago, and he had sold his first company and came to work with me. I said, "Oh, mortgage is so fun. Come to work with me," And he saw 20 years ago how archaic our business was. Like, he couldn't believe how it was operating. We were one of a lot of people don't know this, but we actually ran one of the largest broker shops in the country. Rick and I did. We were a broker for many, many years. And he just couldn't believe how I operated. I mean, my pipeline was literally on a huge wall on a magnet board. So 20 years ago, he started creating tech, CRM, how to manage your pipeline online and not on Patty's magnet board. So again, Rick, about a year ago with one of our SVPs here in Southern California, Southern California's margin compression is brutal. We're one of the most competitive markets in the country where our corporate office is. We got all the big ones here, right? Every big call center. We got some big boys, I want to say, in Orange County. So we consolidated all of our Southern California branches and created one platform. We coined the hub, and it's very Google-esque, very Facebook. And the loan officers go in there to engage, but they've been working from home for a year. So it helped with bringing their margin compression down with the expenses of the branches. We got everybody to come together as a community. They share one marketing person. They share one marketing portal, a group. They already saw this a year ago. So now we really feel like the vision we had a year ago can be duplicated. So we were already on this path. Wow. I can't see after 39 years, and I know that everybody's thinking about this, that we can stay the same. With as quick as people want information, we can't continually running these branch models, the same way. Our branch models, and we have almost 200 of them, but they're very connected to the internet. We've taught them how to stay engaged at the speed in which the client wants to be served. So we pulled them into a quick environment.
Wow. So now let me get an understanding of, so what is your role actually as you do these new strategies? So is Rick actually say, hey, we should do this, and comes up actually, with this grand scheme, and then you're more, okay, this is you bring it down to the employee level and say, this is what we do. Like, where does actually, each of you guys fit when you're, doing the hub concept, what's your roles?
So I would say that we're both visionaries. I think I have the heartbeat to the street, meaning I know what loan officers want. I know how branch managers feel. I know how mortgage brokers feel. So I bring that heart perspective to the table, and Rick is a master executor. So if I give him a vision, he executes. He knows the business well enough, and he comes up with things from a mathematical, make sense, common sense perspective. So the funny thing is, a lot of people don't know this. Our offices are like, he's right next to me. I barely see him. I go home like a normal wife at the end of the day. I make dinner. I'm like, hey, honey, when are you coming home? Like, I don't go and say bye to him because we run separate parts of the company. So a lot of people coin me the heart. I'm the people person. I'm the one engaging with the loan officers. He is too. He does a great job. I think it's great at our company because, you have male and female equal leadership. So you have females that can see me to aspire to be me. You have males that can be driven by his, leadership skills. So I think there's a really perfect harmony here, and you can see it in our demographics of our employee pool. But that's kind of how it works. So yeah, when he creates change, I'm like, how's that feel to the street? How is the loan officer going to feel? So like, we didn't rip off the bandage on the FICOs on the FHA, you know, when everybody's panicking 5 weeks ago. You know, did we come up with some make sense? But we didn't do that because we know the impact to the minority communities. We know the impact to the loan officers that are out there originating those loans. I'm like, oh, we can't do that. So there.
Now, has Rick ever had like production experience like you have?
No, he's just been married with me 25 years. So.
So he's never actually filled out a 1003.
He will tell you he's never filled out a 1003 in his entire life. Wow. And it's kind of refreshing, I think, because that's why we make such great business partners, because I really have zero idea what he does. He's actually got all the stressful stuff. Like capital markets is on his side of the fence, right? It's been a capital market nightmare the last 5 weeks. So I'm at home all happy. He's all that. So, yeah, and I lead and run operations and all sales. So, you know, I have my DE, I have my chums, I have my VA lap. I was an underwriter for many, many years. I sit on the HUD advisory board. I was on the CFPB board. I was Fannie and Freddie. You know, I'm an operations person that was blessed with the gift of gab and the ability to sell and connect. So I've done both. To Rick's point, Patty makes a great teacher because actually you have all those experiences. It all makes sense. It all makes sense why you would be able to understand actually, you know, the plight of the loan officer, but also understand actually, you know, the underwriting, what it needs to do to get operations, you know, excited about the business. Got a question actually from Starla. Starla said, "How has a New American's loan product offering been affected by everything that's going on?" So talk to us. Like, what is actually, you know, what has happened for the originators that work for New American? You know, we have been blessed again because Rick wanted to become a seller servicer. I was like, what? Own our own servicing company? I always fight him on risk, right? And he's like, no, it makes sense. We've got to be a seller servicer. So because we are a seller servicer, we are not as impacted as our peers. So that's where we've been able to not have so many shifts on FICO overlays and an elimination of product. We are still funding bond programs. We're still doing low FICO FHAs. We've been impacted in the jumbo space, but we still have a non-QM product. We still have, I mean, because the relationships we have. So I would say today, this hour, this minute, we haven't been impacted, but as quick as it's changing, we are just affected by everybody else, just not as affected as everyone else.
Wonderful. So listen, and I know you've always been just super involved, you know, when it comes to the MBA, you know, obviously, you know, helping minorities and helping women. I mean, I love actually, you know, your involvement, your hands-on. Any guidance for anyone that's watching out there on what they should be saying to their borrowers? Like, what kind of guidance should they be giving their borrowers? Because listen, there's a lot of people out there that are a little frozen. I mean, it's difficult to maintain actually a positive outlook. Listen, you seem to always have this very positive, great positive mental attitude. But there's a lot of our originators out there that are having a difficult time. I'm just wondering actually if you can share some insights on what the originators that are watching this, what they should be saying to their borrowers.
Wow. So I appear always up, right? But I'm very much like everybody else. This has affected me as well. I almost feel claustrophobic, like I'm trapped and I can't get out, right? In the beginning of this, I spoke to our team here and I was sharing with the fact that, you know, I had anxiety over the situation and I could feel pressure in my chest. So I do feel like everybody else. I think like what I've been preaching to people that work with me, people that talk to me, is that if there's ever a chance to use your human element, your love and your passion for this industry, is now, because you have home buyers that are suffering, right? Homeowners, current homeowners that don't really know the difference between forbearance and forgiveness, and educating them through that. It's all going to work out. Every servicer in this country wants to keep people in homes. Yeah. And I'm speaking for everyone because I know it. I know it. These servicers are built, the ones that survived the market crash, trust me, they're strong, they're viable, and we do everything we can to keep the borrower in their homes. So I think that using your love and passion for this industry is great. On the flip side, you have to remember, most of us can't even handle the business coming in. There's actually not enough originators today to handle the capacity that we have going on with refinances. Yeah. So I spoke to a loan originator this morning that's for the first time so busy, she doesn't know what to do with her volume. And I actually walked her through, creating an hour by hour schedule on what she was supposed to do, right? Get up, get your tea or your coffee, 7:30 to 8:30, return the emails from the day before and the text from the day before that you missed. I said, you got to work out, you got to, but it all needs to be calendared, 11 to 2, just take all new incoming business, put an away message on your Outlook that says, I'm working on my current pipeline. I will get back to you after 2 p.m. Because a lot of these loan originators that were doing 2 loans a month, they're now doing 8 to 10 and they don't know how to handle the capacity.
Wow.
You got to schedule. If you don't know how to schedule yourself, write it down and just stick with it. Now, some days you're going to be, maybe off, but stick to that schedule and it'll happen and your team will work with you, your LOA and your processor. So get into a groove. But a lot of these people that have never had the kind of volume they have right now, they don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah. And listen, schedule. It's all about control your tasks. Don't actually, stop focusing on the bigger project, focus on the tasks within that project. So I'm just going to bring this up. Joel Berman / my dad just mentioned this. Patty, the current financial crisis, without a question, has affected the minority community disproportionately. Just any kind of commentary about that, because just always such an advocate for actually minorities. Talk a little bit about that.
So listen, anytime there's a crisis, financial world crises, disparities are glaring, right? Yeah. The minority communities are being hit harder in many, many ways. But I will give good news, because we're all listening to the media. We're all, all the Hispanics are dying, all the Blacks are dying. I mean, this is what we're hearing on the media, right? So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on data-driven in my portfolio. We have a roughly 30 billion servicing portfolio. We're the largest lender by percentage to the Hispanic market in the country. Roughly 30% of our volume every month is to the Hispanic market. Yet only 25% of the Hispanic population ask for a forbearance. So, we're doing the type of lending that they considered risky. Why are you doing this, Patty? It's not showing disparities in my book, right? They're performing exactly the way we knew they were going to perform. So I think that clarity around data needs to be a little more clear. But I think, again, I'm advocating harder. Where I'm seeing impact in the Latino community is in the real estate. As a realtor practitioner, the mortgage professionals were busy refinancing, but the real estate, the buyers got scared that we already have inventory issues. So I'm seeing more our realtor partners, being impacted from small business perspectives more so than the mortgage side. So
as someone actually who as originators, we can potentially be the people that are going to help these realtors come out. So what should we do now? What do we do now to realtors? How do we actually help realtors in the situation that they're in now? How do we get them ready, for potentially a big, housing boom that hopefully will come after this to pull us out of this recession or depression?
Yeah, so we've all had changes. I think they've been impacted state by state, county by county, whether or not they have to do virtual showings, they're not being able to show properties. That platform already was being disrupted by the Zillows of the world. So I feel the impact is largely going to be felt by more realtors and more mortgage professionals. I feel as the mortgage industry as an industry was a little bit more ahead of the buyer that, starts their process online. So I think they need to connect with the mortgage lender that has the product that serves their clients. What I'm reaching out to people, they have certain realtors use certain lenders that they're capped at 680 now. And they're telling the Latino home buyer, oh, I'm sorry, you can't get a loan. But yes, you can. I'm like, over here, I'll still do it. So we have to make sure, that they're knowledgeable on who does what. So there's a lot of education.
You just bumped into something that just blew my mind. So how big is your servicing portfolio? Is it 30 million?
Probably a little over 30 billion.
Okay. So, but now, and how long ago were you a mortgage broker?
Oh my gosh. We became a mortgage bank, I believe, in 2005. And we were only a call center until 7 years ago. We started doing the branch model distributed retail because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
And so in 7 years, we've built our outside retail, and we only opened up servicing this our 4th year, servicing our own book. So we built servicing up the last 4 years. 4 years, 5 years. I'm starting to lose time. I'm getting too old.
So do you have actually obviously, knowing your roots for the mortgage broker, you have actually any particular extra love for the mortgage broker? Is there actually, what's your feelings about actually the mortgage broker model?
I love the mortgage broker model. I started out as a mortgage broker. I probably know it better than anybody else because I've facilitated, I think we were closing 200 to 300 transactions a month as a mortgage broker. Yeah. And I ran the processing team with only 2 assistants.
Wow.
So I know how to get loans done in a mortgage broker. It's all relationship. If I was a mortgage broker, I would have solid, good 5 relationships. I think what happened to the mortgage broker model the last few years, they were so dependent on a couple of the larger deliverers, and those maybe had issues. So, I have helped a few mortgage brokers the last few weeks. They've called me. Some of them had mini core lines. They got stuck with some non-QM on their line. They know what to do with it. They don't typically know how to scratch and dent. So I've been trying to help as many people as I can. Listen, there's a lid for every pot. If you want to be a full entrepreneur, then a mortgage broker model is great. Yeah. I think there's just a lid for every pot. It can't be about money, though. It's not about money. It's about how you operate on a personal level, because I know a lot of mortgage brokers that don't really know how to run mortgage businesses, and now they're stuck because maybe they spent all their money and now they don't know what to do. So, I will counsel and help anybody in this industry out. I think that we just need more, we can't be so fragmented. We are here as one industry. We're not competing against each other.
So, and I want to wrap up with that. I want to talk about actually what we can do, now, to unite, to get actually the message out there. I know actually, you're very active in the Mortgage Action Alliance. So talk to us a little bit about the Mortgage Action Alliance. Talk about some other things that we can do as originators, now, today, to have an impact.
Right. So I'm very passionate about the Mortgage Bankers Association. Rick and I have been working alongside with them. We have great relationships with everybody. I admire everybody there. Dave Stevens is still probably one of my biggest mentors. I know one of Rick's biggest mentors. Mortgage Action Alliance is our lobbying arm for their industry. And I think what people don't understand is that even if you're a mortgage broker, you're still tied for the most part to a mortgage banker like me, right? I don't have a wholesale division. I wish I did today because I know I could be helping a ton of brokers right now. But we need to come together as an industry, and the Mortgage Action Alliance is our best way to do it, so that our voices are being heard, so that when they make these rules that are detrimental to our industry, they know the impact of the rulemaking. So I think we need to all come together as one industry. And I think a lot of it is, I'm not that familiar with AIM. I'm not that familiar with NAMBA. Every organization that touches a loan or an originator, we all need to come together. Yeah. So I would say Mortgage Action Alliance, it works. Trust me, I'm getting, letters back from Kamala Harris. I'm getting letters back from people that we're writing so that they know the effects of the changes that are being made on our behalf. That are negatively impacting us, not positively.
Yeah. And by the way, membership in the Mortgage Action Alliance, I believe it's a round number, right?
It's free.
Yes, 0.
It takes 2 seconds, and it takes 2 seconds to take action. And every mortgage leader in this industry needs to lead and teach their loan officers how to take action. It's a mobile app. You can download Mortgage Action Alliance. Go to the Apple, and download the app. It pops up when you need to take action. It takes 2 seconds. Let our voices be heard. Let's not have anyone bully our industry anymore. And let's take action because they need us. First-time home buyers need IMBs and brokers.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Patty, always great to spend time with you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Got a couple of people commenting here. Mortgage Action Alliance does great work. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. And, of course, some of my team. What an awesome interview. Love your energy. Of course.
Thank you.
Always such amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Wonderful. All right. I'm going to take everyone out. Patty, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. See ya. Have a good one.
All right. Again, everyone, thank you for joining us for another Mortgage Leadership Outlook. Got a great lineup coming up next week. We're already working on actually the following 2 weeks after that. Really, really appreciate it. Every day we're doing this Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock East Coast time. Everyone, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thank you so much for watching.